Chelsea fans, welcome back to Talking Chelsea. Welcome back to your Chelsea news. In today's video, we're talking about Martinez being linked with Chelsea. Does Benoit Badashile stay at Chelsea or leave this summer? We are also linked with another left back. Gordon is on Chelsea's radar and we finally have a price tag. Maresca then talks about which goalkeeper will be starting the Conference League final and his experience in European finals. And we have a heartfelt message from Andrey Santos. Now, of course, I'll be giving my own thoughts and opinions on everything that's been reported, but more importantly, I want to know what you guys think down below in the comments.
And before we get into the video, make sure you leave a like and subscribe if you are a Chelsea fan who enjoys Chelsea content. We're on the road to 10k by the end of 2025.
Kicking things off, Voltball Premier, I hope I pronounced that right, have reported that Chelsea continue to be linked with Feyenoord left-back Quindilshi Hartman, again, I hope I pronounced the first name right, who they nearly signed last summer. The player was visibly sad after the end of the last match. And managing director Dennis T. Calusi said, if there is any interest, we will look at it. If Chelsea reported to the player, then they didn't report to us yet. Last year, of course, the story came up. In the end, that changed with injury. Now, this is very interesting to me. Yesterday's video, we were linked with Hato, which is a centre-back who could play left-back as well. And we're now linked with Hartman, who can play left-back, who I can also assume plays some sort of central position as well, or maybe inverts or something like that. It's very clear that Chelsea are linked to absolutely everyone, right? We're always linked to everyone. But what is very, very clear now is this summer is very pivotal. I've said this many, many times. We need to improve in the right areas, in the key areas, and we need to go out and back Maresca in the window if we're going to keep him and get the right profiles that he's after. Now, is Hartman or Hato, these two players that can play on that left-hand side as well as central areas, are they going to be integrated into the squad? Or are they looking to be bought, developed and sold for profit? Because what hurts my heart is we've signed Renato Vega. He played a handful of matches, looked very good, had the passion and connection with the fans almost instantly. We've loaned him out in January. He played well for Juventus, unfortunately got injured, but it looks like we're going to be selling him in the summer for profit. But with these two players in Hartman and Hato, the price tags don't seem to reflect that strategy of buying them, developing them and selling them. They just seem a lot higher, which means, you know, making a profit on them is a lot more difficult unless they turn into absolute world beaters. So I do remember briefly being linked with Hartman last summer. There wasn't too much about it. There was the odd murmur here and there, at least from what I saw. There may have been more I missed. And obviously it died down because the player got injured, unfortunately. Now, if he looks visibly sad after the end of the last match, he probably knows that his future at that club is almost up. And he's like, I'm off in the summer. Whether or not he's just sad the season's over and Feyenoord could have done better, whether it's a case of I'm actually going to be leaving this summer and these people don't know it yet, I have no idea. Now, I don't know much about Hartman. I'm going to be brutally honest. I don't know too much about Hartman other than stats and stuff, which, again, you have to pass the eye test as well as stats. Stats don't mean everything. But it's very interesting that we're being linked heavily with left backs or centre backs that can play on that left-hand side a lot in the last few days. That shows me that Chelsea are very clear in their vision and needing some defensive backup. We need a centre-back with experience, and we definitely need some sort of left-back or a centre-back that can play left-back to cover Cucurella. He plays so many minutes, and if we are going to offload Vega, we have no one else other than Cucurella, and it's just not sustainable to play Cucurella every minute of every season. So it's very clear that they are going to be backing Maresca in the window to getting these positions that he needs, the profile that he needs, to be able to go and compete across all the competitions next season, and hopefully thin out with the current squad of what we've got, and then improve in areas we actually need, rather than having a bloated squad and then throughout the season offloading more and more, and then Maresca saying, look, I don't even want half these players, they don't fit the system, they're not the right profile. So it'll be very interesting to see if this develops any more. But let me know your thoughts down below about anything that you know about Hartman. Is he a good player? Do you think this is buy to develop and sell? Do you think he could be integrated into the first team squad? Or would you much rather go for another centre-back / left-back than Hato or Hartman? Moving on to the emotional message that Andrey Santos has put on his Instagram. Now, this isn't all of it because it is a long message, but I thought it was just really important to cover. I think it's just such a nice thing to see from a player like Santos, who we know is coming back to Chelsea. He's going to have a very, very bright future and had an incredible development season at Strasbourg and was arguably one of their best players. And I would say he was, but Petrovic did get Strasbourg Player of the Year. Regardless, this is what it says. It says, today I say goodbye with my head held high to a club which I fell inexplicably in love and for which I gave everything from start to finish. Since my first day, I've always been very well received by everyone, both from the players and staff and by the Strasbourg fans and supporters. I've had the privilege of being captain, and here I play my first full season in Europe, scoring many goals. Here was born my greatest love of my life, the greatest gift God has given me, who is my son. Here my family and I were very happy, and we will be eternally grateful for all the love and affection from all of you. I'd like to thank everyone for every moment spent together. I will miss all the matches at Stade de la Mamou. I think that's how you say it. But I will always carry you in my heart, and I will never forget you, because one day I will return. I just think this is a really nice thing, right? Because, like I said, he has a bright future ahead of him. He's been an incredible player for Strasbourg this season. He's had this massive development, and he has scored lots of goals, got lots of assists, really showcased his abilities and what he can do. And there was this kind of like period where, you know, Chelsea had to come out and say we're turning down any offer that comes in for Santos, right? He is untouchable. We are not selling him. He is amazing, and he's really connected with Strasbourg, and I just love to see that. This is something you don't really see in the modern game too much. And call me a nostalgia merchant, you used to see things like this, you know, like when John Terry finally left Chelsea and he gave that, you know, heartfelt speech, and they subbed him at the 26th minute of his last game, etc. Like, it's just little things like that that makes us fall in love with the sport, and I'm sure that the Strasbourg fans would love this type of thing. Like, you could say that no one really cares, right? And that's fine, that's your opinion. But I feel like they're going to feel this connection. He obviously feels a massive connection because his son was born there, his family settled in, they welcomed him in, he played an incredible season. So I feel that's like a fairy tale ending for Santos, having this, you know, sort of emotional message to the fans. They can receive that, and, you know, they'll remember Santos for what he did. And I kind of feel bad for Strasbourg in a way, because if this continues and we use Strasbourg as almost like a development club, and then we're taking their best players every season, they can't really get attached to players too much. So yes, Andrey Santos is coming back to Chelsea, and we are so excited to see him play because of the season he's had at Strasbourg. But I just thought this is worth mentioning. It's such a nice thing that he's done, and it kind of showcases the connection he had with Strasbourg in his first full season in Europe, which is just a nice thing to see. He shows his love and appreciation. He's connected with the supporters in the club, and obviously his son was born there, so there's always that connection, which is very, very nice. And now he's coming to Chelsea, and hopefully he can, you know, pick up where he left off at the end of this season for the start of next season. You know, hopefully he has a good Club World Cup as well. But I'm hoping that he has this type of connection with Chelsea over time. This is the sort of thing where it will never fade and never go away. He'll always remember it. It's kind of like his breakthrough year in European football. But it's just nice to see that he's got Strasbourg, you know, close to heart. Because for us Chelsea fans, Strasbourg isn't really, it's a second thought, because our club own them and just kind of send people there to develop. But this kind of brings more of a connection where even Chelsea fans can connect to Strasbourg a little bit more, of like, oh, cool, like, you know, it's not just dump our players there, develop and rip them out. There's actual connect. It's a proper football club. The fans obviously don't like Blueco. They've been protesting since they took over. That seems to have simmered down just a little bit. I'm not saying it's gone completely, but a little bit, because they're starting to see that the players that are developing there. I mean, Strasbourg had an incredible season. I think they could still finish in Champions League spots, or whether they have. I haven't checked the table recently, but they're having a great season thanks to the likes of, you know, their squad. They've all really come together. Santos has been a huge part of it. Petrovic has been amazing. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with Strasbourg next season when we take Petrovic back and we take Santos out of it. But hey, we shall soon see. Let me know your thoughts and opinions. Is this something we do not see, we should see more of in modern football, or are you just really not a fan of it and you just think it's a waffle? I'm curious to have a conversation and know your thoughts down below. Bobby Vincent has reported what Enzo Maresca said on experience in playing in European finals. This is from his latest press conference earlier today, and he said, win. As a player, I played 4 European competition finals, 2 Europa Leagues, and then Super Cup finals. We won 3 of the 4, and we lost 1. But the main thing, an important manager said, you don't play finals, you just win finals. We are going to try and win the final. Now, I like this, because Maresca sometimes in press conferences can say things not as direct, right? And I quite liked him at the start of the season, and throughout the season, he said things very directly. Whether you agree with what he's saying or not, you have to respect the fact he's a straight shooter and just says things. Whether he's calling out players that he needs more from, whether it is things like this where he's like, you win finals. You don't play them, you win them. And I like that mentality. It's something that we've been missing under the new ownership with the myriad of managers coming in. Is we need to have a winning mentality. Now, we're going into the final 3 days after the last game of the season at Forest. There's not a lot of time for travel, recovery, and a turnaround, right? So this is going to be quite tough. Regardless of the match itself, that's also going to be tough. And Betis are going to actually have 48 hours of rest more than us before the final. So it's I'm not saying we're underdogs, but things are stacking against us in terms of travel, game time, and rest and recovery. But to have Maresca come out and say, you just win finals is a very, very good thing for us to hear, because we need to win that European trophy. As far as I'm concerned, we'll be the first team to win it all. Be amazing, and it's one of the objectives that we set for Maresca at the start of the season: win the Conference League, get Champions League football. So this couple of weeks at Chelsea Football Club, there's a lot of pressure. Fans are super excited and also very nervous, because we need to know, well, we want to know what the outcome's going to be. Beating Forest to secure UCL will be limbs, and then getting the Conference League final is winning that trophy is the cherry on top, because it's another European trophy. It's a trophy in this season. And regardless of your thoughts on the Conference League, I've seen people change their opinions as the competition's gone on and we've progressed even further. I've genuinely been excited. It's a new competition. Yes, we shouldn't be playing in it, etc., but we are. It's as simple as that. We are playing in it. And Chelsea have a very good European history regardless. We just do, right? Even before we'd won the European trophies, and while we have won European trophies, historically we've had very good matches in Europe. We always seem to turn up in Europe. Betis are going to be a very tough team to play, with the likes of Isco playing well and Anthony, playing incredibly well in this since his loan move. So it's just good to see Enzo Maresca stating with a winning mentality. If you don't play finals, you win them. And for his experience, to win 3 out of 4 as a player, that's good. So hopefully we can make it 1 of 1 from Maresca in a Chelsea dugout, and we actually secure this trophy. So let me know your thoughts and opinions down below. Are you confident that Chelsea can get it over the line in the Conference League final? Do you think we can take home that final European piece of silverware to say that we've won it all? Bobby Vincent also asked Enzo Maresca on his goalkeeper decision. This is very, very important for me. I've mentioned this in previous videos. This is what goalkeeper will be starting in the Conference League final. And Maresca said Philip is going to play the final because he played all of the competition. It will be unfair now if he doesn't play the final. For sure, Philip is going to play because he deserves to play. Now, this is very interesting. I would genuinely love to know your thoughts and opinions down below about this, because even at grassroots level, right? Even at grassroots football, I've been in positions in squads where we've got big squads and you have rotation, you have different cups and you have the league. And I've worked with managers that are like, oh, we're in the final now, strongest 11, that's it, no excuses. We've used a rotated squad all the way through. Final, it's a one-off, we've got to play our strongest 11. And it puts players out of joint, because they're like, oh, well, I just played the whole competition just to get thrown away at the opportunity. I've earned it, right? I've also played under managers that are very much like Maresca and say, look, we're going to play our strongest 11, but there's certain players that deserve to play because they've earned it. They've done the whole competition. So, do I expect Badashile to be playing centre-back? No. I expect Levi Colwill to be playing there, right? Because we need a stronger left-sided centre-back. Do I expect Cucurella to be playing? Of course. Palmer? Of course. Noni Madueke, Pedro Neto, Enzo Fernandez, Caicedo. Of course I expect those players to be playing. But with the goalkeeping position, I feel like Philip Jorgensen has earned it. He's played the whole competition, and I think it would be unfair just to kick him to the curb and say, right, put in Sanchez, because we all have our own thoughts on Sanchez and Jorgensen, right? We're not picking between Cech and Courtois here. We're really, really not. And I think, look, you can give Jorgensen the final. I think he's thoroughly deserved it. He's had a good Europa Conference League sort of campaign with the saves, clean sheets, etc. Yes, he's had some shaky moments, of course he has, but we're barely conceding the competition. It's a one-off game against Betis, and I feel like it's thoroughly deserved. And I respect Enzo Maresca for making that decision, because personally, like I said, as a player, even at grassroots and to a certain standard of football, nowhere near pro, I've worked under managers that have been very similar. I've been in the squads that are rotated. I've been in the first team, and then you're actually the first teamers are on the bench because the rotated squad have earned that place, and you come on and you get your minutes. But it's about showing respect to the players that have got you there in the first place. So I really respect this decision from Enzo Maresca, but I would love to know your thoughts. Would you just still stick Sanchez in goal for the final, or would you back Jorgensen and say, look, do you know what? That's fair enough. You've played the whole tournament. You've played well. You deserve the final. Because I feel like with the goalkeeping position for us, that's always under jeopardy. There's always question marks around it, right? Because it's like, well, Jorgensen, we wanted to see him get more time. He didn't look great. Sanchez hasn't looked great. The turn of the year, they've both looked a bit better, and Sanchez has improved in terms of making mistakes leading to goal in 2025 specifically. But they're both kind of like, man, it is what it is, right? So, yeah, be interested to know your thoughts down below, but I respect Enzo for this decision, giving Philippe the final. Santi JFM and another source who I can't pronounce, so I'm not going to butcher the name, have reported that Benoit Badashile was one of the main names on the shortlist of Inter Milan. Now, I have a question for you guys. Does Benoit Badashile stay at Chelsea this summer or leave? Because me personally, I've been very vocal and very public. I'm not a fan of Badashile. I'm just not. I don't think he's Chelsea quality. I think he's got a lot of mistakes in him. And he was part of a centre-back duo that conceded the most goals in Chelsea's Premier League history last year. Again, circumstances different, teams different manager tactics, etc. I get that. However, this season, when Badashile has been called upon, whether it's as a substitute appearance or in a rotated squad, I feel like he's played very solid. He's played very well. He's done his job. Nothing outstanding. He's obviously not Van Dijk. I'm not saying that. But he has played a lot better compared to last season, in my opinion. So I'm kind of on the fence, because Badashile will be one of the first names out for me, and he had been for a long, long time. But right now, I'm like, I think it depends who we're bringing in the summer. Because you've got Levi Colwill as a left-sided centre-back, and the natural rotation is Benoit Badashile. And I feel, like I said, he's played well when he's been called upon. And I think he's been relatively solid. No silly mistakes, really. Maybe the odd goal here or there where he's left his man, etc., which is pretty normal across the entire season. You're not going to be perfect every single game, right? But does he stay at Chelsea this summer, or does he leave? That is the big question. If Inter Milan come in for him and they offer a right money, I can definitely see Chelsea selling him and moving him on, for sure. But then it does beg the question of, are we going to go out and get someone else to replace him? Because are we going to go and get someone with some experience and who's a little bit older, who's a better player? Or are we going to go get, a youngster like Hatto or Hartman and kind of pray that they're better than Badashile already and they can adapt to the Premier League and, just kind of slot right in and be that rotation player to Colwill and be great? That's the sort of thing that concerns me about it. I mean, to be honest, if it boiled down to it, I would get rid of Benoit Badashile. I know it just kind of goes against everything I just said, but if you were just to say, is he going, is he staying? He would be on my list to leave, but I think there's an asterisk next to it of who's his replacement. Because if we're not going to replace him, then keep him. I feel like he has shown value in the rotation of the squad this season, especially in the Conference League. If we're going to be getting Champions League football, or even Europa League, God forbid, I still feel he has a part to play, right? Obviously, if we're getting Champions League football, then we're going to be playing our strongest 11, and then Badashile may get more Premier League minutes or, cup minutes or whatever. Now, there have been games that have been absolute stinkers, and I don't think it's just Badashile, but just, across the board. For example, early exit in the Carabao Cup, the early exit in the FA Cup. Played some terrible performances, and he was part of both of those. But I don't know. For me, I was one side of Benoit Badashile out. Don't even want to talk about it. He's gone. Bye. See you later. And over the course of the season, by watching with my eye and with stats and just watching him when he's been called upon, slowly being swayed back to the side of the fence, or where I'm on the fence of I can see the value in keeping him, but if the right price comes in, yeah, cool, man, see you later, we'll try and go and get someone else. But I'd be very curious to know your thoughts down below. MSI Douglas has reported that Chelsea and Arsenal are interested in Gordon. Newcastle have a price tag of around £80 million. £80 million for Gordon. I think Gordon is a fantastic player. Do I think he's had an amazing season this season? No. He was incredible last season, right? He still had a good season, don't get me wrong. He's a very talented player. And, I spoke about this yesterday on my TikTok, and a lot of my comment section was, he spends more time on the floor than he does playing football. And I think it's quite funny, right? Our perceptions of players. But Gordon's a talented player. He is. Is he worth £80 million? Not in my opinion. But that is the English tax that we're going to be slapping on, or it's going to be slapped on. And also, Newcastle in a very unique position, because people want Isak, people want Gordon, people want Bruno. They're not struggling with PSR, but that's something they massively have to think about. And people want their players. So they're just going to go, all right, if you pay us the money that we want for our players, cool. But if you don't, whatever, we'll keep them. It's not a problem. We don't want to get rid of them. It's a deterrent by putting 80 million on Gordon, who has a very high ceiling, lots of potential, and showcases his ability across the last couple of seasons. But would you spend 80 million pounds on Gordon? I personally wouldn't. I personally would not spend that amount of money on Gordon. I think he's a good player. I just don't think he's an £80 million player, in my opinion. So, we've been linked with a lot of wingers, right? The likes of Nico Williams, who wants 400 grand a week. The likes of Rodrigo, which would be like a €100 million move, and would also want £250,000 a week. The likes of Gordon, which is going to be an £80 million sort of transfer fee. What's he going to want for wages? He's going to want stupid wages if you're going for a price tag like that. I don't know what he's currently on at Newcastle. I can't imagine it is in that sort of six-figure range. It might be. Could be wrong. Let me know in the comments. I don't know. We've got Esteval coming in who could play either side, play centrally. We don't know what we're going to do with Paez. For me, that left side is very concerning because we don't know what we're doing with Sancho, and Mudryk can't play, right? So we definitely need a left winger among other positions. Definitely a number 9. big priority. People want a new goalkeeper. I get that, but we do have Petrovic coming back, so I think that kind of strengthens that area. So it's not as desperate to go buy a new goalkeeper. We've got like 9 on the books, right? You've got people like Penders that are out there developing. Sanchez, Jorgensen, they can fight for number 2 while Petrovic comes in as number 1, and it kind of sets us up for at least a little while, and then we can really make an informed judgment, right? But I don't know. That left-hand side worries me, and I would love Gordon to play for Chelsea. That'd be great. I think it'd be a great addition. Got pace. He could beat a man. He could whip a ball in. We just need someone on the other end of those crosses that can actually finish. So the number 9 is more important. I just wouldn't be spending £80 million on the likes of Gordon personally, but I would love to know your thoughts down below. Would you spend that amount of money? Do you think he's worth that? Do you rate him as a player? Let me know your thoughts. And lastly, Edu17 Burgos has reported that Chelsea and other top clubs have approached Emiliano Martinez. However, there are no official offers yet. It will depend on Champions League, and the player wants to fight for titles. Chelsea have been linked with Martinez for a long time. It's gone in circles, the rumour mill, as it always does, right? Especially this time of year. I believe we were linked with him last year, straight after the World Cup as well, and I feel like we were linked with him in January. I want to ask a genuine question. Do you guys rate Martinez? Because I think he's a good keeper. Don't get me wrong. I think, didn't he come like 5th in the Ballon d'Or in the World Cup year or something like that? Could be wrong. I think it was rather high for a goalkeeper. I think he's a great keeper, but I also feel like he's not as good as everyone makes him out to be. And that could just be me, right? Because again, I don't watch him week in, week out. I mainly see highlights, and when I'm watching, Villa games or whatever, I see him make quite a few mistakes throughout the season. And I'm not saying goalkeepers have to be perfect. Of course, they all make mistakes, right? I mean, we have Robert Sanchez. I can't really talk. He's a massive, massive upgrade on Sanchez. I'm not disputing that. But I feel like Martinez would, again, with Aston Villa having to look at PSR every transfer window, they would put a ridiculous price tag on Martinez. And of course, he wants to fight for titles. I get that. Chelsea looking to get back to where they were. We are competing across all competitions and titles. So it could be a fit, right? We have Petrovic coming back. Do I think Martinez is better than Petrovic? Probably. Actually, yeah, he is. I'd say he is a better keeper than Petrovic. Petrovic had an amazing development season. Don't get me wrong, I'm not taking anything away from that. But Martinez has done it internationally. He's done it in the Premier League for a while now. Like, he is a very, very good keeper, right? I'd probably say top 5 or 6 in the Prem, right? Off the top of my head. I just want to know what sort of price tag that Aston Villa would slap on him. I think it would be like 50, 60 million to appease their PSR and give them enough money to go buy another goalkeeper. Would you spend 50, 60 million on Martinez in goal when we have a myriad of keepers and we've got Petrovic coming back? Like I just said in the previous report, like, my main concern is a number 9, centre-back, and that left wing position. They're the 3 things that we really need to improve on and get sorted ASAP Rocky. Whereas the goalkeeper position, I feel like we can buy ourselves a little bit of time by bringing Petrovic back and let Sanchez and Jorgensen fight for number 2. Or even, ship one of them out on loan and have Penders come back and, have him in the mix, right? I don't feel like we necessarily need to go out and spend 50, 60 million pound on a goalkeeper. But that's just me, I would love to know your thoughts down below. Do you think, one, that he would even interest Chelsea? Would he be like, okay, do you know what? I can see the long-term project. I want to go there and fight for titles. Would he want to go abroad? Because he can leave at the end of this season. He has the opportunity to. So it's not like we're trying to buy out a huge, huge contract, which, again, would affect the transfer fee but that Aston Villa can demand. But I can still see it being a high tag because of the whole PSR thing. So could we see a whole Chelsea-Villa PSR deal like we saw last year with Kellyman and Matson, potentially? Or do you think this is going to go nowhere? Would you sign like Martinez as a goalkeeper? Would you not even look at him? Would you go for other keepers? Let me know your thoughts down below. And that's all the latest Chelsea news. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on everything that's been reported down below in the comment section. I love having a conversation with you guys. And if you have watched this video all the way to the end, firstly, you're a real one. And honestly, you are a real one. But secondly, there'll be a thumbnail appears on the screen. So if you are a Chelsea fan who enjoys Chelsea content, make sure you click that thumbnail because you'll enjoy that video too.